I just want to say good morning to all of you. I'm Georgia Armijo Brasher. I'm the Director of the Department of Senior Affairs, and I'm really delighted to welcome you all here today. And I want to apologize a little bit for my voice because I have been trying to get over a winter cold, and so I have a little bit of laryngitis and I may start coughing, so excuse me for that. I'll be brief in my comments, but my brevity does not imply that I am not enthused and energetic and supportive of the work that we have to do here today. I want to give the mayor, who has worked wholeheartedly for the Department of Senior Affairs and our elder population, to come forward and say a few words. Mayor.
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you being here on this crisp winter day. I guess it's beautiful outside. Georgia, thank you so much. You know, when we got elected into this office and we started looking around the community to bring leadership into the administration, one of the names that kept coming up was Georgia, and you just went on a wonderful job. She brings a passion to work every day. She calls me on a regular basis. If she doesn't think we're pushing hard enough on an issue for seniors, she lets me know about it. And so, Georgia, thank you and your entire team, Anthony, and everybody that's here from Senior Affairs. I just want to say thank you very much for all that you do. The Campanellis, thank you. Good to see you again. Appreciate hearing from you this morning and bringing your leadership to the table. So this is a dialogue about the future. And this is really an important time in our city, and it's an important time for seniors. We know some of the statistics with seniors, and I'll get to those in just a minute, but I want to welcome everybody here as we launch ABQ Together, a dialogue on the future. And as you've already probably guessed, ABQ Together is a terrific opportunity for each of us to take part in exploring how our city can do a number of things that are going to be vitally important. Number one, refine and improve the way that we do business in the city. And of course, we want to wrap all this around our senior population. Support greater collaboration and cooperation between the public and the private sectors. We have some great examples in the city of Albuquerque already about how we're doing that. Stimulate greater innovation and entrepreneurship. And it's interesting because for those of you who are here that are seniors and that work with the senior population, one of the fastest growing segments of entrepreneurship in this country are 50 plus. And these are folks that bring a lot of experience and they want an Act 2 or an Act 3 in their lives, and they're bringing a lot of energy to that. We want to ensure that Albuquerque continues to rank as one of the best places in the country in regards to facilities, services, and programs for our aging population. And we want to help Albuquerque become even more of an age-friendly city where people of all ages are supported, where they're celebrated, and where they're better served. And we think one of the best ways to do that is to bring the generations together as well. The first phase of the dialogue actually started more than a year ago. Some of you joined us with Georgia and the Department of Senior Affairs at North Domingo Baca, where we actually brought all of our directors together. And we didn't want this to be an initiative just at Senior Affairs. We wanted to make sure that we brought in our Streets and Roads Department, our DMD department. We wanted to bring in Parks and Rec. We wanted to bring in all of the agencies that we have at the city together, Family and Community Services, and talk about this and make sure that we're prepared for this demographic revolution that's hitting the United States. Soon, we will see about 50% of our city over the age of 50 years old. And that's a trend that's occurring across the country, and Albuquerque is no exception in the fact that we are seen nationally as a great place to be a senior. I think we're going to see more of a robust increase in this demographic as well. And I'm pleased to report that this first phase that we started a year ago has begun to really produce results of new levels of inter and interdepartment collaboration. And I talked about that a little bit earlier. As a result, we are now ready for the next and vital phase of this dialogue, which is why you're all here today as community leaders to help us kick this off. Albuquerque is one of the top 5 cities in the country in regard to support for our aging citizens, and there's no reason we can't be number 1. And I think that there's a good basis and a good foundation for us to do that. However, the size and the scope of the dawning demographic revolution will change an even well-prepared city like Albuquerque in regards to how we work with our seniors. This is why I'm delighted to announce, and I want to invite you, the leaders of our business community, our academic community, our nonprofit, our faith-based community, our media, and our private sectors to work closely with those of us in city government to identify and then to implement. So solutions that we can prepare our city to design a community that is age-friendly. So once again, it's about designing things, it's about thinking things through, but then it's most importantly about implementation. The name of this initiative, as I said, is ABQ Together, and it was chosen carefully, and it was chosen, I think, for good reason. We know that our future success depends on our coming together in a new spirit of cooperation and collaboration. Tonight at 8:30, we're going to open Paseo and I-25, which is a perfect example of what it looks like to collaborate with federal, state, local, county, and even though it's a little bit different situation, it's infrastructure versus programmatic and capital improvements for seniors, it's the same philosophy, and we think that will spread in this effort as well. We know that together we can invest in our joint talents, we can bring our imagination and our energy and our resources to create this blueprint for the future. The living document that will grow and evolve over time from these dialogues will help us understand and serve the needs of all of our citizens and to guide our actions. So I ask for your commitment. I know you're here today, and there's a lot of places you could be, but you chose to come down and have this important dialogue, so thank you all for doing that. And I want you to also be champions. I know a lot of you in this room. I see familiar faces. I see people who are out in our community on a regular basis, walking the walk and making sure that we're being held accountable to our seniors, but also that we're being imaginative and that we have a vision. So we're going to have you in a proactive role in the strategic conversations that will follow today's meetings. We'll have town hall forums. We'll have a dialogue on the Future Summit. And then we'll implement this blueprint. We'll actually have a document that we can use during this administration that we can also hand off to the next administration and say, this is what we've come up with. We'd like to see you carry this on and then add to it as you see fit. Together, I think we have a great opportunity to shape the future. And we know that Albuquerque is a wonderful place. We're full of energetic and vibrant people. Our senior population is important to us. And I think as we grow, I'm 52 now, so I guess I got my senior affairs card a couple of years ago. John's way. John, you got your senior card?
Before you.
Yeah. So we, I just think this is a great opportunity, and we're doing the right thing. We're having the right conversations as a city. We're putting the right programs into place. We have a passionate Department of Senior Affairs, which once again, I want to thank everybody here that gets up in the morning and does all you can do to make sure this is a great place to be a senior. Count on my support. I'll be interested in joining you in these dialogues, and I'll bring feedback as a 50-pluser myself on things that we can do, and I'll continue those dialogues. So count on me for my support, and I just appreciate your passion and your energy, and thank you. I know you're going to have a great morning, and I look forward to this dialogue moving forward. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your week.
I told you we had great support from our mayor. Let's give him a great big hand for his energy and enthusiasm. I do believe that today is a historic day. It's an occasion of opportunity for all of us to get together with the support of the mayor and city to come together to work towards finding solutions that make our city age-friendly. In a few minutes, in your agenda, we were going to watch a video. But I think in order to keep things moving, we're going to change that around a little bit, and we'll go ahead and have the PowerPoint first. So I'm going to introduce Mr. George Caponelli. He's the CEO of Age Nation, our consulting partner, and he will brief you on the scope of the dialogue on the future. So let's welcome Mr. George Caponelli.
So good morning. As Georgia said, in many ways this is a historic occasion. It's also an extraordinarily unique occasion. It's not very often, if you think about it, that we as individuals within a community are invited to play an active, constructive role in shaping the future. And that's exactly what this moment is for us. It gives us the opportunity as individual members of the community, as representatives of different organizations and stakeholder groups, and as a community as a whole, to decide what our city should and be like going forward. And the reason that Georgia and the Department of Senior Affairs plays the role that it plays in determining that future is that the impact of the demographic revolution is going to touch every single aspect of our lives. And so our ability and our willingness to recognize what those challenges are and to deal with them is why the mayor and Georgia and the city is convening this dialogue on the future. So it's designed to be multi-phased, and all of this is in a paper document that you've been handed out or you will receive a little bit later. So we're going to move through some of the statistics pretty quickly. The most important thing to recognize is that this demographic revolution will impact us socially, culturally, politically, economically, environmentally. And you're very welcome. Thank you. So there's no aspect of life in our time that won't be touched by this. And this conversation that we're engaging today and that we'll move forward from here with is a conversation that will look at how do we identify the critical challenges that exist, and even more so, how do we capitalize on the terrific opportunities that lie ahead. This dialogue is designed to be solution-focused. You know, there are a lot of studies that are done. The shelves of our offices are filled with studies that we refer to that often collect dust and do not find a direct implementation plan that turns them into a reality. Just a short story I share with you. My wife, Sedina, who's co-founder of Age Nation, and I travel the country a lot. We work with a lot of cities and towns and state governments. And it is amazing how many of them have done studies, and yet they are way behind the curve relative to Albuquerque in terms of actual implementation. So the purpose of our conversation is to create a living document, something that we can work with, that involves all of our ideas and our thinking, and that can result in major changes that we need to make. As the mayor just said, no matter how well prepared we are at this moment relative to the investments of the past, the challenges that lie ahead are astounding. And so we have to find new strategies and new alternatives in order to meet these challenges. The demographics, quickly, 150 million people U.S., fastest growing segment are older Gen Xers, boomers, and elders, 1 every 7 seconds. Trend will continue through 2075. 10,000 people retire. People soon are going to be living longer after they reach retirement age than the number of years they've been employed. An astounding piece of information. Only 1 out of 9 people who are currently reaching retirement age have the resources and the ability to live lives of even modest dignity. So that bodes, that presents us with some serious challenges going forward. And what's really optimistic is that this group of people in these demographics represents the largest army of educated, skilled, experienced human beings that has ever existed on this planet in the history of the world. The question becomes, how do we provide opportunity to invite them into the conversation about the future and to capitalize on their resources rather than marginalize them, as some organizations and cities unfortunately tend to do. New Mexico soon will rank between second and fourth, depending on what study you read, in the percentage of its population over 65. We're already at 48 and change, 48% of our population that's 50 and over. Our 20 to 64 working group is shrinking rather than expanding. In the 80-plus segment, we'll see a doubling, and as you'll see in your form, there are a number of statistics about the number of disabilities or challenges that this population has that will call upon our resources to their best ability. And a statistic that's particularly troubling is that the average individual who's over 65 in New Mexico lives in rural New Mexico and exists or subsists on $14,000 or less per year. Albuquerque, you know some of the numbers, about 550,000 people, more in the 65-plus age group than in the 18 and under age group. The 19 and under age group will actually remain pretty stable in its percentage of the population. There will, over the coming decades, be 2 to 3 women for every man in these demographics, and there will be a doubling of the 65-plus demographic. What all this means is that no one sector can possibly deal with the challenges that lie ahead. There's not enough money in any government pot anywhere at any time to pay for the programs and services and challenges our 50-plus population is going to require. And we have to recognize that the 50-plus population is not the only population that have needs and requirements. So the only way, in our opinion, that we're going to be able to deal with this situation is to come together, ABQ together, and to find new ideas, new solutions, new energies, new sources of funding, new levels of cooperation that make it possible for Albuquerque to continue to provide a quality of life for the people within our city. So how do we achieve the goal? The mayor talked about the work that Georgia and the other city directors have been doing for the past year, getting together, looking at ways to strategize, use resources differently, end duplication, and put into place new strategies for the future. In the near future, we're going to begin a series of town hall meetings so that we can bring together not only our aging citizens, but our younger citizens and find out what do they need, what do they want, what are some of their goals and objectives and needs, and how does that get integrated into this new blueprint. Where at the end of this period of time, and I'll give you some dates, we're going to convene a multiple-day summit where all of the different stakeholder groups and all the brainstorming and the work that they will have done will be brought together over a 2-day period where we'll bring some thought leaders and futurists into the conversation to prompt and promote us. And we'll also have the opportunity to talk about what does this blueprint for the future look like. And part of that blueprint will be an operational implementation program. And it won't be just the city that will be asked to help implement that. It'll be all of us playing critical roles in implementing the strategies and programs that will determine the future. So develop new strategies, form new partnerships, develop new funding models, build new processes, and improve collaboration inter and intra across the city. We need to turn what are perceived as challenges into real advantages. For an example, our older and aging citizens are perceived by some as a liability, a weight on the system. And yet, they can be a magnet for the development and the drawing of new forms of business, new entrepreneurial ventures, ventures that involve aging in place, ventures that involve new forms of longevity medicine, new forms of healing spas, new forms of technology that serve people who are aging. Because let's face it, in our lifetimes, what we have witnessed is that although there are still demographic segments that take great pride in taking care of their own elders within their families, the truth of the matter is, as the economic challenges shift, the burden on families has increased, so that the number of families who can provide adequate care in the home for their aging relatives is not what it used to be. So we have to reinvent our priorities. We have to rethink our strategies in whole new ways. So, and that Army that I spoke to before, Albuquerque does a great job already. The Department of Senior Affairs generates about 350,000 hours of volunteer support across its programs in the community itself, in the school systems and whatnot. But we could set a goal way above that. We could set a goal for 500,000 or 1 million hours of volunteer commitment that can so increase and support the quality of our society here in Albuquerque. So these are the steps in the process. In January 2014, we drafted a plan about the dialogue, and we talked about some of the things that it should achieve. In March, April, the mayor and the department directors were briefed and invited into the conversation. In April, we did some work with the department directors, getting them, and there are some great examples of cooperation that are already in place between city departments. Transportation, working with waste management, with Parks and Rec, with the Department of Senior Affairs. It's really terrific watching this kind of energy grow. December, our first meeting with those of you who are here as stakeholders, and there will be other stakeholder meetings where you'll have a chance to get together with people in your group. By your group, I mean you may be in the nonprofit sector or the healthcare sector or whatnot, and we're going to ask you to go deeper in generating opportunity and dialogue with people within your sector, and then all of that information will be brought together. So these facilitated meetings are going to occur in January, and we're going to ask you to invite people that you know who are active and engaged and interested from your stakeholder group to come to these meetings. We'll do some brainstorming and some sharing of ideas and resources. Then later in January and in February, we'll start these town hall meetings and public forums. In February as well, we're going to work with UNM and the city and state regulatory agencies to make sure that the data that has been collected and will be collected will be the most accurate information we can base some of our decisions on going forward. And then February, March, we'll finalize plans, and in the April-May time slot, we'll convene this multiple-day forum. And then in May or June, the draft of this living blueprint for the future will occur. So in closing, I just want Peter Drucker is someone some of you may be familiar with as a management guru. For a long time, this information was really used within the corporate organizational development sector. But the truth is, this quote could not be any more important than it is today. And that is, if we want to know what the future of Albuquerque is going to be, it's going to be our job to invent it. Each of our voices is going to be really critical and important. The organizations that we represent are essential. And so from that standpoint, just as we go into lunch, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know on behalf of Georgia and the whole Department of Senior Affairs, and Sedina is included in all of this, the work that we do. And most important, We have a chance here. It's a chance that doesn't happen very often. So if any of us are sitting here and have had any complaints, any criticisms, any judgments about what's not being done, about what should be done, if you participate in this dialogue on the future, you can demonstrate what it is and share what it is that needs to be done.